Welcome to the Real Mama Pod.
I'm your host, Devin.
And I'm your host, Kendra.
We are real moms.
Sharing real experiences. The things people don't tell you.
Hey, Mama, hey.
Hey, Mama, hey. How are you, friend?
I'm in a good mood today.
Good.
Today it was stressful, but it was a good day. I got a lot done today.
That's good. Well, if this is your first time listening, I'm your host, Kendra.
And I'm your host, Devin. Welcome to the Real Mama Pod.
Welcome. I had to say a prayer before this recording because I had a really bad headache.
Really?
Right. I don't get headaches like that. So I think it's from fatigue. And I didn't sleep well last night. And Eli came in the room at 5:30 this morning asking for water. So I'm
Friend,
just, I'm tired. So
you've been drinking water.
I have been drinking water.
All right.
I have been drinking water all day. So I didn't think it was a hydration thing, but I know it is from the fatigue and just not sleeping well last night. But we're good to go now. My headache is gone, thank God. And we're here. And I'm excited about our conversation.
Yes, me too. Me too.
So
what we doing?
if you're watching, you'll see that we have one of our very good family friends, Mr. Keith Oliver. Welcome to the Real Mama Pod, Keith. Keith went to FAMU with us. And y'all know we stay close, tight with all of our family. And anytime we can get someone from FAMU on this show, we do. So I'm happy to have Keith here because he just started a podcast around fatherhood. At the Real Mama Pod, we take our dads very serious, and any opportunity we get to have them on to share their stories, we bring them. I am so happy, and I know Devin is too, to have Keith here. So welcome to the Real Mama Pod, Keith.
Thank you for having me. I'm good. I appreciate y'all for having me. It's pretty cool, like starting a podcast and then being interviewed on the podcast. Definitely wasn't on the bingo card. Definitely wasn't something I even thought about. I thought I was like, I'm going to make these and somebody might listen, somebody might not. But I guess people listen a little bit.
I love that. Now, you can't interview us because sometimes we get podcasters on here and they start asking us questions. This interview is about you.
I already talked myself out of that earlier because I'm good at asking questions. I'm like, no, like you just there to answer questions. You're not there to ask any. I talked myself out of it earlier.
I ask a few, but sometimes we get interviewed on our own podcast. I'm like, no, we're talking about y'all. We want to know about you. That's why you're here. But anyway, we're so happy to have you. And so one of the first questions we always ask our guests, whether they're a mom, a dad, rich auntie, cool uncle, what was your journey to fatherhood?
Man, so my journey to fatherhood, and I know a lot of people who went to school with us, and I think y'all know as well, my journey to fatherhood can't start without my journey through cancer. After I graduated in 2012, I went to New York and I lived there for a year and I was under like extreme stress. So fast forward, I ended up coming home a year after I went to New York, and maybe about 6 months after being home, started to feel off, and I ended up getting diagnosed with cancer maybe 8 months after being home, somewhere around there. And this part is part of the fatherhood story because cancer ended up because of all the chemo, I had chemo, radiation, stem cell transplant, and like all my treatment took like 2 years. And anybody who doesn't know, chemo specifically kills fast regenerating cells, and sperm cells are one of those. So cancer made me sterile. And so I was diagnosed with something called azospermia, which means my sperm didn't have any motility if it was even alive and active. And so Jasmine and I, we went through the process of fertility testing to see, if we were able to have children, because we tried for a while, and when it wasn't working, the default of fertility is everybody thinks it's the woman. Like it's rare that anybody thinks like, oh, it could be something with the male, because like when it's like macho, misogynistic society, sometimes we're like, oh, ain't nothing wrong with me. And it's not that I was thinking that, but we still started with Jazz. And so after she ended up getting tested, and I think she had a couple fibroids, but nothing that would impede her ability to get pregnant, then it was my turn to get tested. And so went through the process of getting tested. And not so funny enough, but you kind of got to laugh in reverse. On April 1st, about 7 years ago now, somewhere around there, her doctor got my results and gave them to her, and she had to share the information with me. And so she calls me on the way home from her doctor's appointment, but she doesn't give me the information over the phone. And then when she gets home, she sits me on the couch, and before she said, she just says, "Babe," but the way she says it, because she doesn't really have a poker face. And so when she says, "Babe," I finish the sentence for her. I was like, the test is negative, right? And I don't know if you've ever seen, like, eh, um, Devin, you have a military husband, so maybe you've heard stories, or like you've seen like a movie where like a flashbang goes off and like you're just completely disoriented. You can't hear anything. Your vision is messed up, like in that moment, and everything just slows down. And that's what I felt like in that moment. Like I couldn't hear, things are blurry, and I just start crying.
Huh.
And I remember saying to Jazz, "I can't make you a mommy." And I was crushed.
Huh.
And I didn't want to talk about it for a really long time. I didn't want to talk about it. I didn't want to be intimate with my wife, like, because it was something I took for granted. And so fast forward to us moving to Chicago, we start trying again in terms of like, what are our fertility options? Because I'm not an option in this moment. And so we end up doing IUI, which is a form of IVF,
Uh-huh.
for your listeners who don't know, where we use donor sperm. And so it's still a similar process, but it's less injections than IVF, because, she's good to go. Like, she has eggs, her body's in good working order. So it is just a shot every time we're trying to inseminate to get the most eggs released, to just like increase our chances. And so, I'm getting close to graduating grad school, and it's really expensive. And we go through one session, one round, doesn't work. We go through 2 rounds, it doesn't work. And so now at this point, we've put all of this money up, and now the thing that, I wasn't completely ready to try again, like, if I'm honest, just because I still wasn't, ready to accept the fact that I might have a son that doesn't look like me.
Huh.
And so we get to the 3rd round, and we were having conversations before that. And she's like, if this doesn't work, she doesn't know that she wants to try again. And so that's what's happening with us before the 3rd session. And the whole time that this is going on, while I'm in grad school, I'm playing fathers all through grad school. I played 3 different fathers in grad school, and then one in a professional show away from grad school. So I'm getting all of these perspectives. Like, I do a play called Good Grief while we're going through this process. And I'm literally in the process of going through grief. Like, I'm going through the acceptance, the denial, the anger. There's never really any bargaining, because I didn't know who to bargain with, but going through all this. And then we get through the last session, the last round, and that's the one that takes. And this was in March of 2023, and Naeem is born in December. And, that's the journey to fatherhood. But the things that I was still dealing with even after he got here, and my wife will tell you, like, those first like 6 months was really hard,
Huh.
because that thing that I said to myself kept playing in my head, like, how am I going to love my son? Like, he's mine because he's in marriage, but how am I going to love my son when I look at him and I don't see myself? And, almost 2.5 years later, it feels like a silly question, because that is my son, but we don't share DNA.
Uh-huh.
And so, that is how we get to here.
Man, I had to really sit and process, and I could feel everything that you said. How so you created a platform for dads. Um and we talked a little bit about you having a podcast early in this conversation. But when you think about your story and how you became a father, were you inspired to build your podcast based on your experience with becoming a father?
I think my experience had less to do with me creating it, but I knew my experience had to be part of it once it was created. It's like one of the primary reasons that I created the podcast was because of all of those fathers that I played in grad school. Because at the time, and really for like maybe like the 5 to 10 years leading up to that time, I was re-examining my relationship with my father, because my father's been around since I was born. He's never left. He and my mother are still married. And I was just looking at all the reasons that I had to be grateful for my father, even if he wasn't the quote unquote ideal father. Like conversations that, you think or you see TV dads have with their kids. My dad didn't have with me, but just like trying to really appreciate my dad for all the things that he did give me. And as I'm doing all of these shows, so there's Good Grief, there is Top Dog Underdog, which is a brother who raises his younger brother, but it's still a father figure. And then there's Sweat. And each of these fathers has a distinct thing that they're dealing with. One father is dealing with being laid off, an addiction, and separating from his wife, and he becomes estranged from his son. Another father is dealing with his daughter, who is a first generation American, grieving the loss of a friend, but grief in his culture is reserved for family. And so he is, trying to, shield her from that because he's never really properly allowed himself to grieve. And then the other is like being tossed into something with Top Dog Underdog, being tossed into something before you're ready. And I'm looking at all of these fathers, and there are two things that are common amongst all of them. One, they're all women playwrights. And then two, I realize I don't like the way that they're written. And what I mean is not that they're not true, not that, they're not having huge impacts on the people around them and their lives, and that some of those impacts are negative. But what I feel like is missing is the grace for these people trying to figure out life in real time like everybody else.
Uh-huh.
Like there's a level of grace that we give to women and children. Like it's inbred, but with men, and I understand it. It was like, if you mess up big enough, you topple a whole family structure. And so, there's a lot of weight that comes with that. But because there's a lot of weight that comes with that, there is also additional support that's needed. When you benching just the bar, you don't need no help.
Right.
But you put, 2 plates on each side, you need somebody to spot you.
Mhm.
And so I'm realizing, like, I don't like the way they're written. Where is the grace? And so that's part of, father figures. And then my journey is also part of it. And so I'm like, well, I was telling y'all when we were talking before, the questions about fatherhood started coming because I was watching a show about a widowed father.
Uh-huh.
And so everything leading up to Naeem being born, everything surrounding the time that he was born, even the commercials that I booked after he was born, the TV show that I booked, I played a father whose wife was getting ready to give birth to twins, and then it ends up being triplets. I booked like 2 or 3 commercials where I was playing a father. So like literally my whole life shifted around the time that we were trying to get pregnant to the time we got here to being about fatherhood. And so it just kind of felt like that. It felt natural once I understood that, okay, you want me to talk about this. And by you, God, I'm like, okay, you want me to talk about this. I'm gaining all of these different perspectives. I'm stepping inside the shoes of these different men. And one of the things I think I've always been good at is translation. And you want me to help to translate these experiences, but then also create a space where there is some grace and we men are allowed to fail forward.
Mhm.
Our husbands are really big on this topic, and that's one reason why, we have this platform to talk about motherhood, but we also give men like yourself an opportunity to share your experience and give other dads and uncles, an opportunity to share theirs because we've now seen a lot more men are speaking up and they should be given the same grace. So hats off to you for one being attentive to the need for creating a platform for men. But also allowing God to use you in this space. So I'm looking forward to hearing more about.
I just wanna say too, I didn't realize your journey, right? I knew you were a dad, I didn't know how you got there. So, thank you for being vulnerable and sharing that. Our first time actually realizing that men can have difficulty with fertility was, one of our very beginning episodes where a mom was on, she was having trouble getting pregnant and was doing all these tests, and it turned out it was her husband who was
Mm,
having difficulty. And it took them years to, like, figure this out and to test
mm,
him, and once he got the right concoction and all the help that he needed, they had eggs on reserve, but they
mm,
got pregnant, like, naturally, right?
yeah.
And now they have 3 kids and all naturally. And they just had a baby, actually a boy. They had 2 girls and now have a boy.
Yeah.
And so that put things in perspective. A lot of men don't come forward about that, but I feel like there should be community for that. So
Mhm.
thank you for, one, sharing that on our platform, but also giving men a place to go. So somebody may hear this episode, right? And now they have father figures to listen to as well and be on the journey with you, but also have a safe space. We're big on providing safe spaces for our community. And so we've never had this perspective before. And I have so much gratitude and so much more. I already respected you as a person in general, but like now it's
Thank you.
like
Mhm.
all the way, like infinity and beyond.
Right. Thanks.
Yeah. So when we talk about grace, right? Because
Hmm.
we live by that as moms, like give ourselves grace. But like
Hmm.
in society, men, let's be real, y'all don't get grace, right? Sometimes your only safe space is at home.
Hmm.
It's not out in the public. It's usually just at home, and some men don't even have that.
Yeah.
What does that look like for you? How do you define grace?
One of the things that, we've talked about that I see as a thread already is we all appear to be believers. And I was talking about this to somebody earlier. Like, there's two different grace. Like, there's the grace that God gives, and then there's the grace, that we would like from people. And so the way that I describe grace is you don't get what you deserve. Right. And so, I mess up, I burn the dinner, or I blow up at the kid. Like, what, if we looking at this kind of like idea of physics, like equal opposite reaction, then if I blow up with a kid, then somebody should yell at me. But it's like, well, why is he blowing up? Has he been taught how to co-regulate, how to that his son is going to mirror the emotions that he shows in this moment?
Mhm.
Or is he going to show his son that it's not okay to mess up, right? And so for me, grace looks like taking your time with your husband, boyfriend, whoever, when he seems to be having a hard time, recognizing that I might not always know how to explain what a hard time feels like to me. I think grace also looks like not being above or not being frustrated with the idea of having to teach me something you feel like I should already know.
Uh-huh.
And that's one of the things that I really appreciate about my wife, because my wife is my first and only adult relationship. So the number of things that she has to be my teacher in, it can get really frustrating. I'm somebody who talks a lot. I'm somebody who has a lot of questions. I'm somebody who, thinks that I'm pretty smart. And so it takes a lot of patience to be with me, and it takes, a lot of grace, because I haven't had the testing ground in other relationships to know, like, okay, yeah, you probably shouldn't say this, or you probably shouldn't do it like that, or you may need to be more explicit in your explaining of how you're going through things. Come here. Your elephant? Where's the big elephant? Do you want to say hi?
Yes.
Come here. I'm gonna cover him
Yes,
up.
he wants to
I'm gonna
say
cover him up.
hi.
Oh, let's make your debut.
Come here. Say hi.
Hi, sweetheart. He's
Say
so
hi, Baba.
cute. Hi. Are you doing bath time?
Say yes.
Yes.
Is that
You're
an
so
elephant?
cute.
That he loves elephants. Show them your elephant. You gotta hold
That
it
is
up.
the perfect animal. That's right, baby. You love elephants.
We love
Huh?
our elephants.
Sure do.
So you're gonna go with mommy now, okay? Say bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Have a good night, handsome.
We
Love you,
love
Baba.
features from the kids.
Yes, we do. Ours crash the pod all the time.
Huh? There's no more in the room? Okay. This is part of it. Whenever I'm like,
Yeah.
so Jazz, she tries to like disappear whenever I'm doing something, and I'm like, this is part of it. Like, if he
Yeah.
runs into the room, if you need something, like, because Father Figures, the podcast, has 3 meanings, and I'll share them whenever the moment feels appropriate, or whenever y'all ask a question. But one of them is like figuring this thing out in real time. So like,
Yes.
he doesn't stop needing me because I'm
recording.
doing an interview.
Yeah, our kids make
Yeah.
features all the time.
All the time. Dogs make features, kids, husbands, you name it, we got it. And our thing is, we learned this from Samaya, but it's like real content made by real people. We're not robots. We are, most of our audience, they understand.
Yeah.
It is what it is. We keep it in there, and it is what it is. Hey, baby.
Yeah. That's the beauty of this platform. This is real content. So
We are
we
not
welcome the
cookie cutter.
babies and the spouses and the partners and whomever is in the room and filling up the space. We welcome everybody.
Right.
Yeah.
So, Keith, what we've learned with becoming moms, and we even saw this in our own husbands, like when we become parents, things shift. Like our mental load shifts, our physical appearance shifts.
Yeah.
Spiritually, we shift. We become a lot of things change. So, can you share a little bit about how becoming a father shifted or shaped your identity in either of those 3 areas? Spiritually, physically, and emotionally.
That is such a great question, and we could literally do a whole episode on that.
Yeah.
So I think the thing that hit me first, like, because it changed me in all 3 areas, right? But I think the most important thing was it pushed me to re-examine my identity spiritually. Because I think up until that point, so much of my identity was wrapped up in what I was doing. Like, so I'm in my mind, like, I'm an actor, like that's my identity. And then when Naeem gets here, I start thinking about the fact, like, I go from, having eyes on me from a professional sense to I have an audience 24/7 now. He's watching everything. He's mimicking everything. And so I start to have real questions. One, because acting is not getting in the way, but I'm having to make real decisions about how feasible is this to continue at this point in my life because of what he requires. you know, because I'm not just doing TV or commercials, I'm also doing plays, which means I'm away for, weeks, months at a time at night, and so that's shifting a lot of the load on Jazz. And so the way that, affected my identity spiritually is I'm asking God, one, who am I in you? Like, because I know that he's watching me. And so whatever that identity starts to look like in you, he's going to mimic that. And so I don't want him to think that daddy is just what he does. Like, I want him to know that daddy is his character, his beliefs, like how he shows up for his family, because my job can be taken from me. And then do I just don't have an identity? And so that was like the first thing, because I realized for the first time in my life, like my identity needed to be rooted in something that couldn't be taken from me, because I realized that for the beginning of his life, at least for the next few years, up until he starts to decide some of who he is, his identity is going to be based on mine. And so if mine is shaky, his is going to be shaky.
Steep.
And so that was the spiritual part. The emotional part, and this was harder for me to say out loud, but I felt it. I was like, because like I said, those first 6 months were really hard. I was like, do I even want to do this? Like, do I want to be a dad? Like, I know I want my wife. I know I want to be married. But do I want to be a dad? Because I was thinking about, my dad, and I was like, you coming back? It's okay, man. I'm still gonna answer the question. No, sir. Take a bite. Take a little bite.
Love it.
All right. All done. All right. Go read stories. Kiss. Kiss. Wow.
We love it.
Yeah, take it with you.
We love
If y'all
seeing
see what
and hearing footage
if y'all
of this with Dad.
but if y'all see what he just asked for, it's wild. He just asked for freaking sculpture that my mom gave me. Like he just asking for stuff right now. As you hear, it's a wood sculpture.
They always want things when you're busy, and they know that there's a strong chance that mom or dad might just say yes because they are too occupied to go down the so
right. So yeah, the emotional thing was like, just being very real with myself. Like, do I want to do this? And part of that question came from thinking about, my dad. I'm like, I don't have any memories of seeing my dad enjoying doing this. Now he stayed and he didn't talk to me crazy. I didn't think that he hated me, but there's a space between hating something and loving it, and it's indifference. And so I just wondered, like, do I want to do this? Bye, 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 bye. Good night. Love you. I gave him, I didn't think I gave him enough. Yeah, so that was like the emotional toll of it all. Like, do I want to do this? And that was a hard question to ask, because before the infertility thing, it wasn't a question. But then everything that it took to get here, it had me questioning, like, yo, do you really want to do this? And then, you're not getting no sleep those first 6 months. You and your wife, you feel like you go from being caretaker, because now you're taking care, you have to make sure the wife is good, you have to take care of the baby, and you got to take care of yourself. So you go from being caregiver to roommates, and you're not getting no sleep in none of it. I remember, so that was spiritually, emotionally, and physically. This is the physical. So day 5, because I didn't know that y'all had to get up every few hours if you were breastfeeding to feed them those first few days until they get back to their birth weight. Yeah, I had no idea. She's getting up and feeding. He's in the bassinet next to our bed, so he's in the room, but she's having to get up to feed him. And so I don't know how to support this, because I've never seen it. It's not explained to me. So I'm like, well, I'm in the room, so holler if you need me.
Right.
And so day 5, she just finished breastfeeding him. She gets him to go back to sleep, and she taps me and she's like, I need you. I was like, all right, I got you. Hand me the baby. She gives me the baby. I'm like, oh, he's asleep. I put him between my legs because I got because we had have a dog. I got really good at sleeping with somebody in between my legs. I kind of look like the number 8. So I put him between my legs in the like those little pillows that you put him in.
What are
So
they
I put him
called?
there.
I forgot. Go
I
ahead.
don't even know. So I put him in the pillow, and because he's sleeping, she's going to sleep. I lay down, and she's like, "You can't go to sleep." I said, "What? He's asleep. Why can't I go?" And I was mad, y'all. I was so hot. But now I'm looking at him, and I'm up for got to be at least 3 hours just looking at a sleeping baby. One of the things that has always been true for me is with enough emotional stimuli, something artistic is going to come out. And so I wrote a poem. It was 5 a.m. and I'm looking at this sleeping baby, and I never even thought of that until I'm getting ready to say it to y'all. I wrote a poem about helping Naeem develop his identity.
Mm.
Because one of the things that I say is I hope you learn to pray. Like I start talking about all these things that I want for him.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, so, all of those parts of me were changed.
Right.
Mhm.
And for the better, but when you are at the beginning and not even the beginning, because like the journey of getting to parenthood was so difficult, and then the beginning is difficult, and it's like I was exhausted. And I think that's a thing that this generation of fathers has to deal with that I don't know past generations dealt with, because we're more active and more involved.
Mhm.
We, in a different way, but still feel like the exhaustion and the overstimulation, because I know I'm more involved than my father was. And not because
Right.
my father didn't want to be involved. He didn't know that, like, there wasn't an expectation. And
Exactly.
Right.
because there wasn't an expectation, there was no ability to even disappoint himself. Because now if I'm not like involved in helping with Naeem, I feel some type of way, because it's like, that's my son. Like, I need to make sure he's good, but then also I need to make sure that I'm not overcompensating.
Yeah.
Mhm.
We talk about that a lot too. The presence of dads obviously look a lot different than they did when we were growing up, because back then dads were responsible for making sure the money was coming in and the family was fed, and the mamas were making sure the house was taken care of and the kids were taken care of. Now we're on equal playing fields. You got a job, I got a job. We got a job, right? We're
Mhm.
all bringing money into this house and we're going to work together to keep it together. So, shout out to you in each layer of that response. It is very true that our kids challenge us to be the best versions of ourselves. And we
Mhm.
see things in ourselves that we didn't realize were there, whether good or bad.
Right.
When
Yeah.
our kids are here. So, thank you for breaking down each layer of that question. And your son is very lucky to have you, and your wife is too. So shout out
Should
to you.
Yeah.
appreciate that.
So going back to your podcast, Father Figures, I was able to listen to the first episode, and you kind of debunked some of the things about dads like not being active and around and absent and all this stuff. Um, that's more like a stereotype. It's a
Mhm.
very small, I think it's now up to what, 70% of kids have two-parent households or something like that. I just saw
Yeah,
something on social media or something. Yeah.
that's the collective number. Um and it very, and like if you look within each racial group, there's different statistics, and so there's still work to do, but that is the collective
Yeah,
number. We
still.
do it's the highest I think it's been in like 30 years.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, so that says a lot about our generation just doing the hard things. But what are some misconceptions that, dads get a bad rep sometimes? I mean, we give y'all a hard time. I mean, we love our dads and we love our husbands, but y'all not mom, okay? But
Yeah.
um So what are some like stereotypical things that you can debunk that people may still have in their mind? Because we find ourselves sometimes like that's just not true. Like the black
Yeah,
dad is present actually, and I can
yeah,
show you multiple people across different settings that is true for. I actually have more friends that are, and even if they're not together, they're still amazing co-parents.
yeah,
Like it's 50-50 custody. Like it's we are both at the game. We may not be together, but I'm
yeah,
still showing up for my child.
yeah, yeah.
So walk us through that a little bit.
I mean, many things. So two of the podcasts actually speaks to some of this because I speak to Dr. Waldo Johnson,
Mhm.
who is a PhD of social work at the University of Chicago, and that's what his life's work has been about. You know, the Black fatherhood absence myth and uh, unwed fathers and fathers who aren't cohabitating with the mothers of their children. But I can speak like just from my personal experience, like I know one of the things used to be that fathers didn't go to doctor's appointments or didn't know their kids' doctors. I make all of Naeem's doctor's appointments. When there's an emergency, his doctor calls me, not because my wife is incapable, but given my medical history, I have, more of an intimate relationship with the medical field. Like I
Mm,
literally lived in hospitals for 2 years. And so it's just a thing that's a comfort zone for me. So, there are things like that, or even my wife's mom sometimes when she will call Jazz and ask Jasmine what she cooked. I'm the primary cook.
mhm,
So like
mhm,
that's a misconception, and that's a generational thing that kind of is a misconception that when you're married that the wife is supposed to cook or she's supposed to know all of the vital information.
right.
And I love cooking, and my wife loves that I love to cook. So,
Yeah.
there are things like that, or there's data, and I don't have the actual data in front of me, but there's data to support that among fathers' involvement in their children's homework, that
Mm,
Black fathers rank the highest. Like we're more likely to have meals with our kids. We're more likely to do homework with our kids. We're more likely to do the bedtime routines.
mhm,
And I actually have the data in a file, and I can send it over to y'all if y'all want. But like a lot of these misconceptions exist around Black fathers and our interest in being fathers.
mhm,
And I don't think that we're disinterested. I think we're trapped between two worlds of what it means to be a man and what it means to be masculine.
Uh-huh.
I last I think like last summer sometime I was reading Bell Hooks, the will to change, or I think the will to change love. I think it's called Love, the Will to Change Men, Masculinity, and something else. But basically talking about like how part of how we traverse this world as men and fathers and husbands is trapped between this idea of white supremacist patriarchy, and then we got it coming from the other side, men who look like us, who are defining what it means to be a man and to be a father, and it's always tied up in these tropes that aren't helpful for anybody. Like
mhm,
I just gave my son a kiss, and
mhm.
there are people who would think that there's something wrong with that.
Yeah.
And I grew up thinking there was something wrong with that. I have one distinct memory of giving my father a kiss on the cheek when I was maybe in elementary or middle school. Like he came to give me a hug in bed, and I put my arms around his neck and I gave him a kiss, and I felt weird.
Mhm,
He didn't say anything, but I felt weird, and I never did it again. And my father, like even like, grabbing me by the shoulder and giving me a kiss on the head, I didn't experience that type of intimacy with my father. And so I grew up thinking that something was wrong with it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I think Jared spoke to that, and Jonathan,
Uh-huh.
maybe, about that emotional, intimate,
Lack
what would
thereof,
you call
maybe growing up
yeah,
with their
between
father.
dad and son. So I think the first time, like when I feel like when the boys are babies, like, okay, yes, kiss, but then it's like this school age thing. I think my husband even admitted to, like, feeling a little weird at first, like, "Kiss you?
Yeah.
Like, I do love you, like, I will give you a hug," but
Yeah.
so he had to unlearn some things because he told me, and he shared with me, he's never kissed his dad. So it's just like, I guess if you don't have it or you're not around it, and granted, his dad was in the military too, and very, you know?
Right.
So, it makes sense. It makes sense. So
Yeah.
sometimes we have to unlearn some things.
Mhm.
And even our boys now and Eli as well, like if they're sad, they say, "I want a hug. Can I have a hug, please?
Yeah.
I'm sad."
Because
I don't my husband did that growing up.
I didn't. I definitely didn't ask my dad for hugs growing up. Like my dad is older now, he's in his 70s. So every time I see him, we hug and it feels like it's organic to him, like he's not forcing it. But, this idea of, being intimate with our children, I think one of the things that we all fight against, and this isn't just men, because sometimes, women can be participants in patriarchy too,
Mhm.
Mhm,
is we sexualize things that aren't.
Mhm.
And that is what prevents men from showing their sons the same genuine love that they have no problem showing their daughters,
mhm,
Mhm.
and so that's kind of like the challenge of it. But one thing that I don't want my son to ever question is if he is loved, because, love is an action verb. So hearing it, yeah, that's cool. But like,
How am
if
I
you get
showing
to a
it?
certain age, if you get to a certain age and you don't remember ever hugging your dad, then you have questions about what love really looks like.
Mhm. Yeah. And this is me and my husband talk about this a lot, and he's really into masculinity and how men, especially men within our generation, are having to reshape what it means to be masculine.
mhm.
Yeah, yeah.
Because back in the day when we were growing up, dad kissing his son, that's not masculine.
Right.
But I'm glad that we are challenging that, because actually what real masculinity is me
Mhm.
showing it love and emotion to my son,
Right.
because I
Mhm.
can do that. I should do
Right.
that. So it
Because I think what's less masculine, I'm sorry to cut you
No,
off.
go ahead.
I think what's less masculine is letting somebody who is not who I am not affected by day to day and who is not affected by me define masculinity for me. Like,
Exactly.
you getting to tell me what it is to be a man in the space that I have to occupy daily. That's not masculine.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And half the time, the people that saying these things don't wanna live up to the things that they want other people to do.
Mhm.
So it's like you have to do what's works best for you. And sometimes, like, growing up, even, when you're younger or whatever, as women, like, I want an alpha male. I want this, I want that. But then when you look up what an alpha male is and what a beta male is, you actually want the qualifications of the beta male.
Yeah.
And it has a bad rep, but it's actually so much better. There's like so it's
Yeah.
just like it's so much better, but it's because of this narrative
Hmm.
of you need to be macho, you need to be this, but beta men are just as confident. They read the room. They're leaders. They're all these they don't have to be loud with it. And so the misconception of that, as I got older and I was able to define it on my own, I'm like, "Oh, I don't want that."
Mhm.
And I got what I need for me.
Hmm.
Because there's no
Right.
way I can deal with that. So,
So Keith, let's shift gears and talk a little bit about community. How
Sure.
has community shown up for you since becoming a dad, and how important is community to you as you continue to journey through fatherhood?
Community has shown up for me in a big way since becoming a dad, because everybody that I, grew up with, everybody that I know, like all of my friends were back in the South in one way, shape, or form. Like, my best friend since second grade, he lives in North Carolina. A lot of my classmates, a lot of my line brothers, they're either in Florida or Georgia. And then like my family and other friends, they're in Florida. And so being here, I had to find that again. And I found a great community of fathers. Like, my boy Justin, he just had his second son. Friend of mine, Tom. There's even a psychologist, a doctor of psychology that is like checking in with me. He's a doctor of social work, and just finding the community where it is. I think I'm more open to what it looks like because I've had to recreate it. But since being married and especially into fatherhood, I've been very intentional about finding community because I remember growing up, like my dad had two friends that I can think of, and he was related to one. And
Mm.
I don't remember seeing the second one until I was in high school. Like, but he had one friend, Mr. JP. I remember that friend, but that was like a drinking buddy. Like, I don't know that he told his secrets to Mr. JP. I don't know that
Right.
he confided in him. I don't know what they talked about, but that was, somebody who was a staple. And for me, as I was like developing community, like I'm like, nah, I need a sounding board. I need to know when I throw this out there, how is it coming back to me? Like, does that make sense? Am I tripping? Like, I need accountability partners. I need to be able to tell someone like, hey, bro, I'm not doing good today.
Right.
So I'm not always burdening my wife with these things. And not because it's a burden, but because she's processing things too. And I understand that she can't be everything to me. So I need to find those people who can pour into me and that I can pour into, and we can rally around shared experience. So that's been really, really big for me. And that's part of the reason why I created this space, because I know it's something that I need. And I have the benefit of knowing how to be expressive, and I know how to use my words. Like, I'm somebody that's always been good at communicating what I'm experiencing. And I know that that is not the case for most men. And so because I'm good at translation, because I'm not so, you know,
Guarded.
self-righteous, or I'm not so guarded. Like, I'm accessible to people. People feel like they can talk to me and be in community with me. And so like just kind of leveraging that for the benefit of people who need it but wouldn't actively seek it. That's, the reason behind Father Figures.
So let me ask you this. Have you always been that way? Like you always knew the importance of community? Or did you have a life changing moment that made you realize that you needed community?
I don't know that I've always been that way because I don't know if y'all remember on the Hill, I've always been kind of a chameleon. Like, I can move in several
For
spaces. Like, I've
everybody.
always
Yeah.
yeah, I'm cool with everybody. And so the idea of community in that way, I don't think it really dawned on me until I was diagnosed with cancer and I needed a community that everybody couldn't be a part of.
Mm,
I think that's when it really hit me that I would need to find the tribe for what I was going through at any given point in life.
We're really big on community. And
Yeah.
I feel like we ask that question to most of our guests because we are nothing without our community.
Yeah.
So for you to, one, understand the need for community and create a space that allows you to build community, especially within fathers. We're trying to change the narrative around what fatherhood looks like and how fathers
Yeah.
show up for not only their children, but their partners too. Like,
mm,
our husbands are everything to us. Yes, they get on our nerves and we get on theirs. But we know that we need each other. And our husbands are very honest and vocal about their experience with supporting us. And we've had some honest conversations on this platform about how we have to show up for one another as not just husband and wife and life partners, but also as, yeah, that kid, I'm the mama, you're the daddy. How are we supporting each other? Because
Yeah.
it's not easy at all. So for you to create a space and build community and influence community around how fathers can be vulnerable and share their experiences and have safe conversations is amazing.
yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
So how do you engage your son at all in your podcast?
So yes, it's funny you asked that because I think it was you or maybe it was Devin that said you got to listen to episode 1. So if you listen to episode 2, I created like a new intro and he starts it off like it's his voice. And so, and even the old logo, well, I mean, he's in the new one, but the old logo, the old silhouette is actually a picture of us. Like he is all through it. Like I'm thinking about him when I'm having these intentional conversations because there is like I sometimes just make voice notes, and there was something that I said, and it's one of the videos on the Father Figure Instagram page, but there's a part where I say that I'm building this thing so that one day Naeem can look back and knows that I was created to be more than just his dad. Because then that gives him permission to know that while he is here for service, like he has to find himself in all of that. You have to find, what grounds you. And what's always grounded me is creativity, right? And so, but he's all through it. He's the old logo, he's in the new logo, he's the tag. He introduces the podcast. He's like, "Hello, I'm Naeem. This is Daddy." And he that's like going to be on all of the podcast episodes from here until whenever. And so he's very engaged, and I hope that I'm able to be consistent enough. It may not be frequent, but I'm hoping I'm able to be consistent enough that one day I'm able to interview him.
Yeah.
We're interviewing our boys at some point.
Not
That should
by
be fun.
choice. This is what Kendra wants.
Yes.
I am not ready for the interview for the kids, but
You're not ready for the
I think
honesty?
it's gonna be great.
not even the honesty. They are just wild children. So I don't see them sitting there for an interview. I
How
don't.
old?
5, 6, and 7.
Oh, yeah, that should be interesting. That should be fun.
It's
Yeah.
gonna be fun.
Yep.
And I have faith in all 3 of my boys that they're gonna sit
You can have
there.
faith.
I mean, they may move around. I know Eli fidgets around a lot, but he will have that microphone in his hand as he's moving around and talking.
You know what? We probably don't even need mic stands. We probably just need to let them hold the mic at this point.
That should
But
be so much fun.
we will see. This is Kendra's idea. She lets me do crazy things, so
I get
I'm
to be
letting her do
crazy
her
for
crazy
once.
thing. Yeah, this is so good. We definitely have to have you back for a part 2. It's no way an hour is long enough to
Sure.
get through everything, but we definitely appreciate the gems that you dropped, and we got to get you back.
I appreciate it.
Maybe
Thank
something in
y'all for
person
having me.
next time. I feel like virtual.
No.
We gotta get
I wanted to be in person. I will make the trip to the A just for that.
Okay. You know
Yeah.
what? We had a few people tell us that, and I'm like, oh my God, are you
I
serious?
feel like we need Jonathan and Jared on with Keith. I think they would have a great conversation.
We have to do an interview with us, but then it's gonna be a part 1 and part 2. So we'll definitely work that out.
Yeah, let's get that done.
Sure.
I'll be excited about that.
Yeah, for sure. We will definitely have to figure that out. But yeah, we're all about alignment. Things will happen when they're supposed to. And this episode, even though it's virtual, is just as important because we would need 3 episodes if that's the case. So we got the first one out the way, and we're going to do part 2 and part 3 in the near future.
There we go.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
All right. So it's not Mama Juice today. It's Daddy Juice. But let me give some context. So this is your first time listening. Mama Juice is my segment. Everybody who knows me knows that I love a good cocktail. But today, it's Daddy Juice and it's a mocktail. So I asked Keith, what does he typically drink? What does he like when he has his mocktails? And he gave me several things. He said one was like a cranberry lime spritz, and I think the other was like a ginger citrus spritz. So what I did was combine the two.
How's that?
Yeah, this is what it looks. It's a little watered down now because the ice is melted, but
it looks pretty.
Thank you. What I did was I got cranberry juice cocktail. and it was 2 ounces of the cranberry juice. I topped it with ginger beer, and I squeezed a whole fresh lime.
Okay,
So,
yeah.
it's really good. I love those. You ever been to Sonic and you had those cherry limeades?
Yeah,
It tastes a
that's
little
Mhm.
what it
bit
tastes
like
like.
that,
Oh, you
cherry
have to make
limeade
me
from Sonic.
one.
I haven't had one in over a decade, probably close to 2, but it reminded me of a cherry limeade at Sonic. So, it's springtime, summertime. This is good if you want a mocktail, but if you wanna make it a cocktail, you can. You can add whiskey or a vodka or a gin. You can really use whatever spirit you fancy. So, this
Heck
drink
yeah.
is called Raising the Bar, and it's
Dope.
called Raising the Bar because Keith is raising the bar when it comes to having real conversations around fatherhood, which is something that's new, right? We talked a lot about how we didn't grow up in a society where dads talked about their experience and where dads felt comfortable enough to share their experience. But
Mhm.
you are raising the bar by creating creating a platform that allows dads to be themselves and share their
Yeah.
true and vulnerable experiences. So you continue to raise the bar, Keith, and you know that the Real Mama Pod is behind you 100%.
Yes.
Appreciate
Yes,
it.
yes, yes.
Appreciate
Love
it.
everything that you're doing. So if y'all not following father figures, go ahead and do that
Mhm.
now. All the links will be in our description. Make sure y'all show Keith some love. So if this is your first time listening, I love Mama's Corner. Mama's Corner is my favorite segment because y'all know I like to dig deep. It's the psychologist in me. So this is our opportunity to connect with our guests further, or if a listener writes in, we'll ask the guest that question. But of course, I want to dig a little deeper. So I want to give you an opportunity to talk about father's figures. And you were saying it was like 3 different ways that you came about. And I love the way you described it on your podcast. So I'm going to give you an opportunity to talk about that during Mama's Corner.
Dope. Now?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All
Yeah, you
right.
did.
So father figures has 3 meanings. The first is father figures, anybody who can step into that role. So like y'all were talking about it earlier, uncles, cousins, dads, preachers, coaches, mentors, anybody who can step into that role of being a father figure. The second meaning is father figures. Fathers figuring out this job in real time because it's nothing like on the job training. Even if you like, my father has 5 kids. He has 5 boys. My
Whoa.
oldest brother he's about 30 years older than the youngest. And so my dad, when he had Alan, is very different than when he had Brian.
Uh-huh.
And the time period was different. What he was doing was different. His health was different. The women are different. So he's a completely different person. And so having that prior experience helps, but he still has to figure out how to raise Brian in real time because he's a
Mm.
different personality. Everything is different. And so I think, speaking to that grace aspect we talked about earlier, then sometimes you have to give yourself what you want other people to give you. And so that second meaning is fathers giving each other the grace to figure this out in real time, even if we don't get it from those people that orbit us sometimes.
Mm.
And then the third meaning, and I think, Kendra, I think your husband will really appreciate this one. Father figures, data and statistics, figures to amplify the counter narrative of Black and brown fathers about being absent, about being disinterested. We started with a statistic that 71% of kids for the first time in 30 years are being raised in 2-parent households.
Huh.
And, without knowing the breakdowns, I think it's a pretty safe assumption that that number rose not just because one racial group
Mm.
rose. I think that was kind of like an all boats thing. And so those are the 3 meanings of it. And that's really near and dear to me because I am a poet, so I'm always trying to find multiple meanings in things.
Yeah. I love that. I love that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, I'm sorry. I do have one more question because it's burning me on the inside. You talked about the 6 months, right? The first 6 months was the hardest. You were unsure on how you were going to get through this, even if you wanted to stay. Like, what kept you How did you stay? How did you get out of that? Because we've learned on a podcast that dads actually can experience postpartum depression as well. It's just not talked about. And so that was very eye-opening for us. And when I heard you saying that, I'm like, he probably was in postpartum.
No, I
So
definitely was 100%.
yeah, so just talk to us a little bit about that, and I promise we will let you go after that, but it was just burning me. I had to ask.
So first of all, you're good. If y'all wanted to stay and talk, I would talk for another hour. But think, and I can never give a simple answer. That is my gift and my kryptonite. Part of it was, like I said, I never saw my dad enjoying fatherhood, but he never left.
Mhm.
And my mom told me this story. After I was born, there was a time that my parents split up, and my mom was dating this other guy, and he was supposed to pick me and my mom up from daycare. Like, my mom came to me, however she got there, bus or whatever, and he was supposed to pick her up. And the guy never showed up. And my mom called my dad, and he came and got us, and he never left.
Mm,
And so, with everything surrounding my dad, what he intentionally gave me versus what I caught versus what I wish I got, the one thing that I can say that I've consistently got from my father was his presence. And so,
mhm,
even if I wasn't sure that he wanted to do it, the example that he gave me was to show up. And me
mm,
having the emotional toolbox that my father could only dream of having, I couldn't not be here even if it was challenging. So I had to find a way to process the difficult things, but know like the best thing that my father gave me was his consistent presence,
mhm.
and Naeem deserved that.
Wow,
Yeah.
that was beautiful. So are you gonna interview your dad on the podcast?
Already done. But
Can't wait.
it will it will come out when it comes out. I'm not
Yeah,
gonna tell people, but it
yeah.
it it it, it it's locked and loaded. But that was something that was really special to me.
Mhm.
And I'll just share a little nugget about that weekend. So my dad can sing, like sing.
Mhm.
Okay.
But, he was not never, but he had like a short period of time where he was like a performer. He was in a band when he first moved to Florida from Georgia. But that weekend, because I'd always heard my dad singing growing up, like he was singing in the car, he would sing on road trips, not like he was singing to us, but he would just sing along with the
Yeah.
music, Isley Brothers, Temptations, whatever, David Ruffin, like he just likes to sing. And the day before I interviewed him, my uncle brought over a karaoke machine, and I got to witness my dad sing full voice, and I was amazed.
Mhm,
And so, there was a lot of emotion going into the episode because it's like, man, like, I wish I had seen this sooner.
Mhm.
Like, I'm grateful to see it,
Mhm.
but it's like, oh my God, this is amazing. So yeah, it has happened, and, I'm excited for people to hear it. I'm excited for him to hear it.
Mhm. We can't
Oh,
wait
well,
to
I
hear it.
can't wait for that to drop. Yes, you have to let us know. Yeah, and it's something beautiful in experiencing your parents as an adult. Uh,
Yeah,
and especially when you're a parent yourself, you see them
yeah,
as human. For the
yeah,
longest time, I know my mom's a human, but I did not view her in that way.
Mhm.
yeah,
And so I have a lot more grace for her now as an adult
Mhm.
than I
yeah,
did as a parent. Yeah, as a parent, because even as an adult, I didn't have grace for her. It took me being a mom to have grace
Mhm.
for her.
yeah, yeah.
So,
Parents are like gods to us. Like,
yeah.
that's the first position because, once you develop your relationship with God, you realize how reliant you're supposed to be on Him, and
Yep.
then you put that in context, like, oh, I relied on them for everything.
Mhm.
And so, that relationship can be very telling of your future relationships in spirituality. Like, are
Mhm.
you gonna lean into it? Or you not? Like, it's huge.
Mhm.
Well, I love how you tied that up.
Yeah.
Well, this is great. We really appreciate you and your time and your story. And we can't wait for part 2 and
Oh,
part
'cause
3.
it's happening.
Let's do it.
I feel like we
It's
still have
happening.
so
We
much more to
so
talk
just
about.
yeah, get ready. And first of all, our
Yeah, cause
listeners are gonna hold us happening.
Yeah,
I already
where's
know
the
2
father
people who are
figures
gonna text
guy?
us.
When is he coming?
I already know 2 people from the top of our head who's gonna DM us or text us and say, "So when y'all making that happen?" Just from this
hey,
episode, so
first of all, I am open to it. One, because I appreciate the space that y'all have created. Um, when y'all reached out, first of all, I was surprised. I was like, because I had been thinking about this, because I admire y'all creating this space for moms. I admire the honesty. It inspired, like, once the idea was given to me, because like I said, this is not something I came up with, but once the idea was presented to me, like, my eyes were kind of like focused on how you all were doing it. So I'm inspired by the work that you do. So to be able to be a guest like this short into, me creating the space for fathers, I am honored.
Thank you,
Oh,
Keith.
thank you.
We gotta get your wife on too.
Well, yeah. Now that's gonna be some work, because she doesn't like the attention, man. But I think we can get her to do it, maybe because she has a sister that lives in Atlanta. So maybe it'll be
See?
that.
So we're gonna do a whole bulk record weekend. That's what that sounds like.
I'm with it.
Yeah,
But
so put
thank
it
y'all
by
so
her ear
much.
now, and once she listens to the episode, she'll
Yeah,
be like, "Oh,
tell
it's
her
kind
we
of
kick
chill."
it. Like,
Yeah.
don't mind the
Yeah.
camera, don't mind the microphones. It's just a conversation.
I mean, and then y'all also have other things that y'all relate to with each other about. So like, it's all the more reason. Like, I'm just gonna go ahead and share her profile with y'all, and y'all can
Yes,
slide
I was
into her
about to say,
DM.
please send her IG to us so we can follow her and all that.
Yeah. Follow her and then slide in her DMs, and I think she'll love it, because also there's an opportunity to connect with other moms, and she's big on community too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we're all about community at the Real Mama Pod.
Yeah.
So
That's what's
Yes.
up.
Well, thank you for your time. This is great. Until next time.
bye.
Thank you.